Why are we called Negroes? Why are we deaf, dumb, and blind? Why is everybody making progress, yet we seem to be lagging so far behind? Why are we mistreated? Why are we in this condition, stripped of our name, our language, our culture, our God, and our religion? Here in America, all of our religious training has been gotten by the preacher. He has told us of a heaven way up in the sky that we can't enjoy now, but rather after we die. But all of the years that we're living,
And we are live.
All right.
All right.
Welcome to the 7th Region Coalition, where we live information we share. I'm Brother Mark X, and it is my honor and pleasure to be here as one of the co-hosts. I want to introduce the other co-hosts. If you don't know, you may not, a few of you out there may not know these fine, beautiful people, but I'm going to introduce them right now, starting off with the brother right above me, my dear brother. From
Yes,
Miami.
sir. Well, I'm not really above you. That's just the way it looks on
the screen.
I believe in freedom, justice, and equality, sir.
Tony Muhammad is
so
I'm called Brother Tony Muhammad. He does so much for our show. And then up next to Brother Tony. Oh, man. Very, very resourceful, very powerful, very informative, very intelligent and bright. A great addition to our show. Our dear sister Felicia.
Oh, he's talking about me? Oh,
Yeah,
man.
he's talking about you.
I thought he was talking about Sister Khalil.
Oh, that's what he said. That's what it is.
Last but not least, oh, man. This is the hardest working sister on this show. She works very hard, and she's been very diligent. She's a content creator as well as a co-host. Man, my dear sister, my dear
Bring her on, Brother Mark.
Muhammad. Round of applause for our dear sisters. And as we want you to do before we get started, we want you to make sure.
Make sure to do what, Brother Mark?
Man, please, we want you to, if this show hopefully has been a great help to you, we want you to show a little appreciation. If you are able to, you can like, share, and subscribe.
Does it cost anything to subscribe or like or share?
The beautiful thing about it is free.
It's free. If you care about people, out there or in your homes, wherever you may be,
so don't
please
be
share. Don't be stingy.
Share with people.
Exactly. Share with people.
So I want to pass the show off my brother Tony.
All praise due to Allah. Let's begin properly, dear family. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, the one God to whom holy praises all forever due, the Lord of the world, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, the supreme being to whom holy praises all forever due. I am forever thankful to Almighty God Allah for his merciful and prophetic intervention in our affairs, in showing his divine favor of Black people here in North America and the Aboriginal peoples of the earth. I thank Allah for raising from among us the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, the exalted Christ. And I thank them both for preparing one that would take on the awesome task of teaching the multitudes of our people in this hour. I thank Allah for the Messiah of Allah's Christ in our midst, and that is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Assalamu alaikum, buenas noches, sakpase, abaragani, whatever greeting you greet one another in, we're greeting you in that great greeting right now. Assalamu alaikum simply means peace be unto you, and we're sending peace to this wonderful audience that is tuning in right now. We are the 7th Region Coalition to Help Save Lives. The 7th Region Coalition to Help Save Lives was assembled by our Student Regional Minister, Student Minister Patrick Muhammad, soon after the Criterion message of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan back in July 4th, 2020. What we were dealing with at that time, we were being called to task to warn our people about an inoculation that was really an experimental inoculation that was targeting the American people, targeting our people throughout the globe. And it was our task to inform our people about the truth and reality of that so-called vaccine. Today, we're still guiding our people to safety, as this has been likened to a lighthouse. As you may see in many of our flyers, you'll see a little lighthouse or big lighthouse in the back. And it is our duty and responsibility to save lives by helping us navigate through treacherous waters. So now what we are doing is broadcasting this particular broadcast through the 9 ministries introduced to us by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan back in 2005 in the midst of the Millions More movement. Tonight's ministry that we are paying special focus on is the Ministry of Education.
Yes, sir.
So this ministry, as I will read the purpose and aim of this ministry. The Ministry of Education is responsible for the mental and moral development of the members of the society by means of formal instruction in a prescribed manner over a prescribed period of time in a system of learning ranging from preschool through primary through advanced academic levels, culminating in the conferring of academic degrees under the direct direction of a National Board of Education. In addition to academic instruction, students shall receive teaching and training in the way of righteous conduct, decency, and self-respect, with the goal of making a better nation of people. And so the ones that we'll be focusing on here tonight, of course, we'll be focusing on an awesome online school which has taken this ministry to heart and is seeking to develop young people and human beings on a greater and higher level, using the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan as its base. And we look forward to speaking with them here tonight and finding out how they are so successful so that we can be successful at our crafts, if you will.
Praise is due to Allah.
All right, so it's time to introduce those who are going to be on. Of course, the school, the online school, is called Diamond Minds. So, excuse me, not Diamond. I worked at Diamond Minds. Asiatic Minds. Excuse me.
The other mind.
They both have the name Mind in it.
The other mind.
Excuse me. Asiatic Minds online school. And I will read the first bio Our sister, Sherry Muhammad, is the directress of the school, if you will. She is a wife and has over 20 years of homeschooling experience with 5 children. She has been in the Nation of Islam for 27 years. She graduated from the University of Louisville with a bachelor's in arts in communications and has conducted training classes for women for over 20 years, as well as including numerous community workshops focused on life skills. Teaching is her passion and life purpose. It has now evolved into being an online educator for the past 3 school years and designing an after-school etiquette program for elementary-aged girls. Sister Sherry is a loving, patient, and encouraging educator. She teaches from her heart and soul with a spirit that truly believes in the brilliance of our children. And so we look forward to speaking with our sister. And next up,
Yes.
Sister
I had to
Felicia.
unmute myself.
Please do.
You can't talk.
If you don't unmute yourself, then we can't hear you.
All right. So assalamu alaikum, everyone. And in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I am so excited for our conversation we're having tonight. I am blessed to introduce Sister Ayana D. Muhammad, Social Studies, History Team Leader, and Curriculum Developer. Sister Ayana Muhammad is an award-winning educator with over 20 years of experience in the classroom. She is a certified teacher who has taught within both the public schools, Muhammad University of Islam, and as a homeschool instructor and tutor. She has taught a variety of academic levels ranging from early childhood learning to high school, but specializes in middle school core subjects. Sister Ayana demonstrated her love for education at a young age and has poured her gift into the Nation of Islam by contributing to the development of workbooks and courses for the MGT and GCC. Sister Ayana's passion for education is her driving force in the world and life purpose that she shares enthusiastically with her community, both at home and abroad. Sister Ayana D. Muhammad.
And then, last but certainly not least, we have yet another dynamic sister to join us, and that is Sister Mazani. Sister Mazani is 17 years old, and her parents are Sister Marcia Muhammad and Brother Kirk Muhammad. She moved to Chicago, Illinois a year and a half ago from San Diego, California with family for educational purposes. San Diego is where she was born and raised, but it was not meant for her to stay there. While she did have a beautiful life there, it felt empty, which is why she moved to Chicago. After a couple of months of being in Chicago, she joined the processing class to become a registered vanguard in the Nation of Islam. She recited on November 19th, 2023, and passed. In her downtime, she likes to draw and listen to music. She likes to draw in an animated style and occasionally work on her digital art skills. When she goes to college, she wants to major in animation, illustration, and character design so that she can use her creative skills to influence our Black youth to be a part of the Nation of Islam through stories that elevate their minds to build stronger communities and relationship with family. Let's bring to the stage our dear sisters.
Bring them on.
Sister Ayana and Sister Sherry.
Praise be to
Allah. All praises to Allah. Where's the say? There, I was about to say, where's my sister?
All accounted for.
All accounted for. Welcome, everyone. Wow. Unmute yourselves.
Thank you.
Yes, please unmute yourself.
May I please make a slight correction?
Please.
Because obviously I did not send in the corrected information for myself. I've been in the Nation of Islam now for 30 years.
Talk that talk.
Yes. And I'm a widow. I'm recently, yes.
Okay.
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 Be pleased with our dear brother.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yes. Well, let's get to it. Okay. So this question is for Sister Sherry, Sister Ayana. Okay. Can you speak to the subject of autodidactic learning, which is learning to teach yourself, and how it plays into the Asiatic Minds methodology of teaching? Sister Sherry.
Well, I think that would be excellent for Sister Ayana too. Because she is, we work together, and she definitely is our curriculum developer. But the way our classes are designed at Asiatic Minds, we do give a portion in the day for students to have time within the day to work on assignments, so that, assignments that are given, they have about an hour for each class. And quite naturally, anybody who's been in an educational setting, an hour gives you a decent amount of time, but it doesn't give you all the time that you would like to have to dive into the assignments and the things that you want to teach to the children. So we carve out within our school day time for the students to be able to get into that homework and to have that self-directed study time, where they can utilize Khan Academy or other platforms that they may need to utilize in order to do homework or to further their studies. If they are completed with all of their other homework, then they can utilize that time for other things that those platforms such as Khan Academy has to offer.
Yeah, I want to add to that too. The way our curriculum actually is set up at Asiatic Minds is really set up for that exactly. Like even the books that we have are books. The framework for the books is really for a child to really study it themselves, and really teach themselves. My daughter, who's in high school right now, really taught herself 3 years of mathematics. And right now she's taking 2 years. She's taking a 10th grade algebra 2 math and advanced math for 11th grade at the same time right now.
Wow.
And she just, the way the books that we chose are set up is where it's not just 100% dependent on the teacher. So that child can actually take that book, and there's plenty of examples in it, and all have to teach themselves. The key really though to that type of independent learning from a student is that a student is already on level to do it. Because a lot of times a child needs heavy instruction when they're behind, but they don't need heavy instruction if they're operating within the framework of the level that they're working on. That lifts them gradually up into those next levels. So like, if I already know how to read, then yeah, you could give me a book to read. If I don't know how to read, you give me a book to read, then I'm going to need some instruction, somebody to assist me with that. But if the child is functioning at the level that they should be functioning at, they can actually grow themselves. And it's so important that they understand that they can grow themselves. And like our chemistry teacher at Asiatic Minds, there's a lot of self-development. She puts a lot of weight on our high schoolers to really self-develop as well. So like she teaches the chemistry, but leaves a lot of that like for them to study and take notes and digest and process. And then she comes back and says, anybody have any questions? So like then she's the backup. She's like their backup singer, to them actually studying that craft. And so my husband, who's teaching government, in high school, is the same way, where they had to go and research and build their own governments. And after they've learned about all the different governments and the mistakes that those governments have made and all these kind of things. So like that independent learning does start young, but it's very much so it has to be in the mind of the parent first before school does any of that.
My God,
really does have to cultivate that. So just wanted to
wow. Oh, awesome.
Sister Sherry and Sister Ayana, what I'm hearing is that the curriculum student-centered, and it's focused on mastery. And I'd like to lift a quote by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in regards to this. He teaches us that education must teach us to master the sciences. If education does not prepare the human being to do what Allah, God, intended us to do, then it is not the proper education for us. This improper education is called training us to fit into a world order that is controlled and dominated by Satan, the enemy of Allah, God. The more the human being has grown into the knowledge of the sciences, the more we have been able to cultivate the earth, develop it, and mine out of it what is in it that may serve our purpose. How does this statement align with the mission and goal of Asiatic Minds Online School?
That's a beautiful quote. And I would say that it aligns with what we do at Asiatic Minds in the respects that we began our school day with Islamic studies. And we let the students know that's the most important class. Because every single class, everything that you're going to learn has to come through that filter of Islamic studies. And that Islamic studies class, of course, is Islamic studies as taught to us by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, as given to him by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Right.
And so we want the students, and even within the classes, every teacher is required at Asiatic Minds to teach through that filter of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, is taught by the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, because we want the students to know that they are mathematics, they are language arts, they are science and social studies. And if you are learning something that you are, then it's natural that you need to master that. So it breaks, it removes what we had, maybe some of us who went to a public school where you did not feel connected at all to what you were learning. When you learn math, you were just learning that to figure, okay, how much do I need to learn to make a certain amount of money? But that's not the purpose, because Islam is mathematics. This entire world is based in mathematics and in science and every other subject. When you get into it, you will be able to see it in everything that you do. So that will set the platform for mastery. If we see that basically you're learning about yourself. And so no matter what class you go to, you have to run that through that filter of self, knowing that we are gods. And so why would a God need to learn these particular subjects? Because we have to be able to master what was given to us, being the universe, being, the sun, moon, and stars, all of these things that were put under our control. It takes high levels of understanding. So if we are in this classroom and we understand that we're getting the basis, we're getting the seeds to be able to understand and unfold what is ours in all of these subjects, and which is all tucked into Islamic studies, then but with the help of Allah, we will be able to fulfill what that the minister said in that quote.
Yeah, I wanted to add to that, because that's, that quote is big, Brother Tony. That Asiatic Minds is a young school, and I love Sister Sherry always talks about how it's organic, it's fluid, it's organic. Like every year, we come together in the summer and we dissect and critique and take it apart to make it better and better for the new school year for our students. So that's something like that's the goal.
What God do, Sister Ayana.
Exactly, absolutely right. And willing to kind of look and see what mistakes did we make, what did we miss, or how to improve something that we already have. And I really enjoy actually that part of it, because we too are students and we have to remember that, but the one thing that I began to do, and I actually started it at Muhammad University, that I do here at Asiatic Minds as well, and helping our teachers to do it also, and that is not just plaster the teachings on top of the enemy stuff. You know, like really like that's
Okay.
actually
Right.
like
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I've done transcriptions of lectures and I've, you know, given it to teachers. So we teach ELA from these vantage points, like one our high school ELA teacher did, you know, the article on lies. So because if you don't have character development, you don't have nothing in education. Otherwise, you're just like a
Right.
smart Satan. You're a Satan at that point.
Yeah, right.
Right.
You're
so,
smart,
like,
but you're our Satan.
Exactly.
Right.
And dissecting that in the vocabulary and teaching those ELA fundamental skills using our teaching. Our elementary is a team who would have been here, who is not well, did the whole unit on how to eat to live. And there's so much science in that. And so that our third and fourth and fifth graders were dissecting and taking apart how to eat to live through the framework of English language arts. And so, like, we're looking to, because our teaching has literally every single thing that we need. And of course, it's going to take more than just my mind. This is Sherry's mind. It's going to take a nation's mind to really build books that begin to do just what that quote talked about with the sciences, because our teaching is full of science and mathematics that it's going to take us who are educators to come together, mine that out, and build a real system for all of our students across the Nation of Islam, no matter what school they go to, with believers, to get that level of education. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. So that ELA was, like you said, English language and art.
Yeah, English language arts.
Okay.
Yeah, English language arts.
Okay, good.
Sister Mizani, would you like to add?
Yes, sir, I would.
Please be
to Sherry's point of the Islamic studies filter and always having Islam in the forefront, it is very key, because as a student, you can't just teach the student, you have to teach them about themselves too. Because when a student can see themselves in a topic such as math or science or language arts, it opens up a whole new world for them, and it opens up a whole new perspective where they can comprehend what they're learning, because they can see that they are math and they are language arts and they are science. And when they can see that they are that, then it doesn't become a challenge anymore. It just becomes something that they're able to do, because in their minds, it's not a challenge anymore. It's what I am. So when they can see that that is what they are, it becomes natural to them. Math becomes natural, science becomes natural, language arts becomes natural. All of it becomes something that is no longer a challenge, but just a stepping stool to get them where they need to be and where Allah wants them to be.
All praise due to Allah.
Yay.
And just as an educator myself, I could just bear witness to all of that. The one that is, when you're dealing with students, they're looking for themselves. It's like you're taking the curriculum, you're taking pictures. The student is looking for himself or herself in what is being taught. If the student does not see herself or himself in what is being taught, it's like, okay, why are we learning this? Okay, what's up? That's how it is in the enemy system.
Yep, absolutely.
Absolutely. Excellent. Well, let's go a little further here. And I want to start this off with Sister Yana. Dear sister, what is the difference with the way social studies is taught and facilitated at Asiatic Minds compared to an average public or even private school?
Oh, I'm glad you asked me that question. Well, because I wrote my first little history book for Asiatic Minds, actually, in the school, and we started with the first God, and we started with that self-creation, and then where the woman is in that self-creation. Then we went into the histories of God and how, you know, we got a new Adam every 25,000 years. We went into all that history that even some of us might not even know those full details of that history. So the first we started with was the knowledge of God, which is the knowledge of self. And we went into that. I transcribed a lot from the minister on him talking about, you know, how the eye is the sign of the universe and like all these things. And so I did all those transcriptions that really deal with the history of God himself and how even bringing that up to the present day of God himself today. And that was our history. And then like it broke off into now, once you got that base, we can learn about the earth, because we know we created it. We know we are connected to it. And so that then we get into, now you got a different perspective when you're learning geography. And so we went into geography, and one year we went into the problems in, the different countries and what's happening with them, because what we don't understand with our children is that the answers are actually in our children. And I'm looking to develop that more, where we put the problems in front of our children for them to actually solve them of the earth. And you will be surprised, like in listening to this beautiful sister here today, you will be surprised at what's already deposited in them as solutions for the problems of the earth. And so, and then even assisting, my husband with the government class, and us going into the different governments and the different styles of governments and their effect on the people. And our children actually like looking at that. And it's interesting because, student minister Ishmael actually gave me that assignment like years ago when I started a Sunday school at Mos Mariam here in Chicago. And he was just telling, me, so you make sure you teach why those governments failed, so our children would know what causes something to fall, because otherwise we end up being those same people,
Right.
It's still a work in progress. It's still being developed, and it's exciting to be still continuously developing that social studies curriculum. But that was really pretty much what our social studies curriculum was entailing. It opens up with a very thorough teaching inside of our teaching of the knowledge of God and the earth itself. So
awesome.
That is very fascinating. I would like in exact minds based on what I heard there.
Can I roll? Shoot, I need to be in that class.
It's already in our book. It's already in our books, though. I just extracted it and compiled it. That's what our teaching. Everything we need is in it. I don't know if that's probably gonna be my theme today. It's just a matter of going in and extracting those topics, and then formulating those topics in a very educational way for our students to get what they need, and it not be like it's not a rostrum moment. It's actually an educational moment for our children. They can get the exact same even standards and requirements that the enemy even offers, that's right there in our teaching. So learning how to critically think, once you got that down pat, you got pretty much everything. And our teaching invokes our children to think critically. So that's why we have to put that in front of them. We don't have to teach critical thinking. We have to give them something to think critically about.
So it's nurtured. It's natural. It's a nurturing. Yeah.
Awesome.
Praise be to Allah.
That's
Listen, my daughter, she attends public school, and look, unfortunately,
say it, Sister Kalila.
I just said unfortunately.
Say it.
However, it's been constant. Every time she comes, she don't come home with homework at all. I mean, I it went from when she was in the second grade, homework. I was like, girl, I'm so tired of homework. To now, I don't have any homework, or I have little to no homework, or the homework is so small and so minute that it only takes me 20 to 30 minutes to get it done. So these school systems have particularly trained our children to be test takers.
That's right.
And not life givers, or children that become adults to where they'll be able to teach and train others in their communities, because that's all they're learning to do is how to be test takers. What are some key elements that our children need to be successful? And that's for any of the panelists.
May I go?
Yes, you can. Please.
Yes, I would say a key that every child, student, teenager, graduating, whatever, needs is communication. Because communication can get you far in life if you know how to communicate well. And the reason why a lot of our Black brothers and sisters out here that have businesses and sometimes don't successfully make it into a big business is because of communication or terminology. And sometimes the white man with his government likes to use big words and terminology and words that sometimes we've never heard of. But if we were to know those words, then we will be able to master their language and know what they're talking about. And when we're able to know what they're talking about, we would be able to make better and proper decisions based on what they were talking about. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be based on what they're talking about, because sometimes what they talk about may not be what we want to do. So
Right.
then from there, we're able to change, adapt, and say, hey, this is not what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go this route because this is the better route.
Right.
And when we're able to master the language, it's just eye-opening, because you're able to speak on different levels and not just one level at all.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Praises be to Allah. Anybody else want to comment on that?
Can I comment a little bit, Sister Kalila? Because
Absolutely.
look, I'm an educator myself, and
since
like
you are not the
what-
since you're not the panelist, but go ahead, brother Tony.
no, but look, straight up. Students in public schools right now is like, and you're not just dealing with that in Florida. It is all over.
Yes.
They're tested some more, they're over tested, and then they're tested some more, and students are sick and tired, and teachers are sick and tired, and that's why the whole system is totally dysfunctional right now.
Right.
If you teach the students what needs to be taught, and are taught, as Sister Ayana was emphasizing a little earlier, and Sister Sherry, you were emphasizing that earlier, if they're being taught, okay, this is important and this is the reason why, and they take charge of their own education, and they're focused on mastering all of these different subjects and the content in those subjects, you're going to put a little test on them, they're going to pass it with flying colors.
Right.
The reason why children are rebelling in the very school systems right now is because they don't see themselves in all this testing. This is all to basically prove to white folks among themselves and those stuck in the system themselves, like, oh, we want to show that we're actually producing results. That does not produce results. As you said it yourself, Sister Kalila, that is just showing how well they're trained to pass a test. That's all it is. Because afterwards, like, how do you work this out over here? Oh, I don't know. Because it has not been transferred into their long-term mind. The meaning that is ascribed to the subject is not there.
Right.
So I'm stuck. And so,
can I add?
Please.
Yes. Please.
I think also what a student and anyone who's striving to learn needs is a knowledge of self.
Come on.
You gotta have a knowledge of yourself. That's going to build your confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And when we are striving to learn anything, and in order for that to translate, and even combining with what Sister Mazani said, when you have a knowledge of self, when you're building, that confidence level, you're going to be able to communicate. So it's okay to say, I don't understand. And we as educators have to create an environment for our students to be able to say, okay, I don't understand that. I don't get it. Because students learn in many different ways.
Right.
And so as we learn about ourselves, we may understand, oh, I get it better when I read it. I get it better when I see an example. Once we are in that process of learning about self, then no matter what classroom you walk into, you're going to be able to know what you need to extract the knowledge that you need in that classroom to take that wherever you intend to go. And also a big thing is, finding your purpose. And so all of those things, if we are setting up a proper learning environment, being that there is supportive. One thing I love about our students and the environment that we have at Asiatic Minds is that our students support one another so much, like on so many levels. And I don't know if you saw, Sister Mazani, one of your classmates commented on here.
I did not.
Because they're supporting one another, because they know that they are in this school together.
Right.
And so we have to set up that environment for our students to be able to feel comfortable enough to make those mistakes and not like I went to public school too. And if you in public school, sometimes if you make a mistake, everybody's laughing at you.
Right. That is right.
So you're afraid to even go to the board to see if you got it right. You're
Right.
afraid to speak up because, oh, I might say that word wrong and now everybody's going to start calling me names and make fun of me. So
Right.
it stunts your growth. It stunts your learning. But if we have that proper environment set up, which I really believe that we have a wonderful environment at Asiatic Minds, that they support one another inside the classroom and outside of the classroom, that and our teachers support as well. Our teachers, you know, that's one of the things that Sister Ayana can bear witness when we do them teacher trainings is, hey, love. We have to come with love, and we aunties and uncles.
That's right.
We not Mr. and Miss Auntie and Uncle.
Right.
And that creates the proper environment. So this is my niece and nephew. So that means I could talk to you like a niece. I could talk to you like a nephew. And we can make those mistakes, and I could correct you, and I could support you, and I could give you those kudos and have that time to just have that dialogue even with one another to see what the students like. So that way they can, you know, as they learn from one another, as they learn from the different guests that we bring into the school, as they learn from the teachers, inshallah, we're doing all that we can to help them find their purpose, because that is one of the things that our students, all of us need. If you have purpose in life, then you're going to go at anything, any subject differently, because you have a drive, because you know what you're striving to do. Right. So I think that's something I just wanted to add to that. That is what's needed for our students.
And just briefly for me, I taught in public school too. And I'll say this, we have to be conscious that environment influences heredity. That's what we're taught in our teaching. And so no matter what we do at home, it could be undone. You know, if the environment does not support, you know.
I bet. Listen, I bear.
And so, you know, of course, we all have our different reasons, and there's no judgment at all for like where we have to put our children, just to even ensure that they get what they need, right? On those base levels. But I would be happy that they came home with no homework, because that would be part 2 of school.
That's all. Listen, I'm writing it down.
Right. That would be part 2, where you get exactly what you probably need. But also, you know, homework is not necessarily an indication of learning, because you got people give you 50 million homeworks and you ain't learning nothing in class at all.
Right.
It's not necessarily the marker. Homework can tell you though what they're learning. So if you're in the dark about that, I would actively, you know, go and be like, hey, what's happening? What's, you know, how is it laid out? You know, what are they learning? What's the next couple of weeks, you know, of layout?
Right.
But one of the things like having children, as you know, those of us who do, you understand, is like our children, we have to test our children to make sure they're strong enough to endure certain things. And I remember reading where the Honorable Muhammad talked about our children being like, our daughters being with us till 18 and our sons being with us till 16, and then letting them out in the world, because it's about like strengthening them and fortifying them first. And that's really like why Asiatic Minds is born, because not everybody has a Muhammad University in their cities, right? And so and we just found it in the Twitter book, the new Twitter book, where the minister talked about online education, that he wanted an online educational system as well. And that helps us reach our children who do not have those spaces, but they still need that Muslim environment. Because I was going to test something Sister Sherry said, is that I think when our children have to endure mean girls or mean boys, or like it's so many things they have to overcome just to get to the book, you know, that our children might even hide from us. Because we can't see them. We don't know, like that aunties and uncles in the school that you got to post with them, you know?
Yeah. Right.
You know, but we may not know. And I would say for our children, we have to pour into them, and if they're in other spaces, deprogram at the same time. because my mother and father were not in the nation. My father had a taste of the nation, so he structured our household a particular way. What I discovered later mirrored the nation. He didn't tell us where it came from. That's a long story. But you know, me and my siblings went to public school too, but we came home to deprogramming every day. Every single day we came home to deprogramming. My father would be like, no, that's a lie. Abraham Lincoln did not free the slaves. And he'd explain it, you know, like, I mean, like, so that deprogramming, along with our enforcing in us our dietary law, because we didn't eat pork as young children either. And him being like, what you had today? You know, like going through those kind of things to ensure that our children understand, even when you're not with me, you know, you got to have conviction. You know, right. Like I think that if the trait of conviction, if we could pass on the trait of conviction for our children and strength and courage, because they're gonna have to see you gotta save the ones you're around. Right. That you are not to conform, you are to help reform. And the only way you help by that is being a good example. And it's okay when nobody likes you. You know, I know things are easier said than done, but I have children. I'm talking to them constantly about being sure about themselves. And if your child shows that they're having trouble with that, sometimes we got to take them out of them environments. Otherwise, it will be a moot point for anything that we do. And so I would say, you know, our children need a community around them to make sure that they're supported and loved and strong, and their minds need to be protected because they can't fight alone. You know, they absolutely need us to fight for them, pour into them, and us listen to them a lot. I think that Mazani, some of that communication piece, like we have to open up them lines of communication and talk every day. I have an introvert, but she talks, Sister Cheryl attest to it. I'm like, what happened? She don't tell me everything, because we have to have those lines of communication so we know what they're thinking. Otherwise, we don't know what's going in, and then we shocked with what might come out. You know? So like those open lines of communication, you know, are so important. And the parent is such a big part of every single thing that we do. And I would, one more just for testing things, our children do need to know how to take a test. There's nothing wrong with that. Like there's nothing wrong with test prep, because I realized I was actually weak at that, where I was teaching my children and having them going and they learn all this stuff and they get a test like pacing, you know, like pacing themselves, how to like all of that stuff they didn't know. And so the test didn't reflect what they knew because they didn't even have like test preparation. That's important, but it's a small portion of their educational lives, as much as like the whole education cannot be centered around something that's not even relevant to what they learn every day anyway.
And it's not. And it's not. Right.
That's it.
And it's not. So yeah. And look, I can only bear witness, like you said. My daughter is she is a real Muslim for real. And she just has this energy to where she brought home a application to be a safety patrol. And so she had
I was
so yeah, right. So she brought she brought the application home. So she's like on this little group chat because she's a cheerleader as well, right? And so she said, yeah, you know, I got this application to be a safety patrol. So one of the girls said, oh, you ain't gonna make it. Wow. Well, and you mean girl, you know. Yeah. So she was like, and my daughter is, I'm telling her mouth, oh my God. She said, why? Because you never made it.
I like that.
I was like, hey, I said, hey, I heard that, Kim. Relax.
She needs those tools. She needs them tools, right? She needs them tools. Don't be dulling that down. She needs those tools.
Like, hey, relax.
You got a God right there.
Right. I mean, because and it's one of those things, because when she's activated, she's on it. You know what I mean? And she knows she is. But I think a lot of times when you like you saying that cultivation, because again, I went to the public school, but I grew up in the Nation of Islam. Mm-hmm. So my mom, everywhere we went in our house, it was blackness. So we are always taught, about, general orders, actual facts, student enrollment. So when I even was presented, when I rewrote my letter because I wanted to make sure that I was doing it right the first time. I didn't want to be influenced by nobody else. I wanted to do it the right way. And then when I had to do the, the general orders, it just came out because it was repetitious, right? I knew it as a child, and it just was like, boop, 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 boop. It was like, okay, well, you didn't even need to study. No, but I mean, long as my
It was in you.
It was in me. I lived it. You know what I'm saying? I breathed it. So as soon as they said, "Oh, your letter passed," I said, "Okay, well, let me go on and get everything else situated." So praises be to Allah. And you're right. Now that I know, and I do know, I have to hear and obey. Oh, you don't have no homework? Yes, you do. Come on.
There you go.
Come on in here. I got something for you. So praises be to Allah for that.
I wanted to add to Sister Ayana's point about communication. An aspect that makes Asiatic Minds such a good environment is the fact that the teachers and the students communicate. Because one of my teachers, my ELA teacher, she always says communication is a two-way street. It is not one.
That's right.
For you to communicate, there has to be somebody else that you're talking to. So teachers that always lecture, or as Sister Ayana said, rostrum, their students, it creates a disconnect because the students don't feel like they're being heard when they have to say something, or when they have to ask, hey, I don't understand this, or they have to ask about something they don't understand. So when a teacher is able to communicate, but also listen to a student, that is golden to a child, because when they feel like they're being heard or they're being listened to, they feel like, hey, they're actually, they actually care. They're actually considering what I'm saying and have a sense of care for what I'm saying.
Wow. Absolutely.
Praises be to Allah.
Beautiful.
Okay. Well, Sister Sherry, she was going down the road that is definitely purposeful for me. And so my question to all of you the question is for all of you is, what's the most memorable experience that helped you to discover or uncover your purpose? The most memorable experience where it was beyond a shadow of a doubt, and you knew at that particular point in time, okay, yeah, this is what I'm gonna do. This is it. This is my purpose.
Well, I know mine right off the top. When you rephrased it like that, and I will say, because when that moment happened, then when I reflect on my life from since I was a child, it led all the way back up to, oh, this is what you're supposed to do. So it was a Sunday. Okay, let me lay a little foundation. I'm a homeschooling mom. I was a homeschooling mom. I have 5 children. Okay, I homeschooled them all with my last one, my youngest, he's 14 and he's a student at Asiatic Minds. I homeschooled him up until he became a student at Asiatic Minds. Now, I've taught in some other environments as well, online school and whatnot. So it was a Sunday meeting. I cannot recall all of who spoke, but I know the whole Sunday meeting was dealing with education. And I'm speaking of a meeting out of Chicago via webcast. And so Brother Ishmael, he spoke and he was speaking on education. And it hit me because I had been on a search for well over a year, just asking Allah, okay, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? Okay, I know I could do this. I know I could do this. I know I could do that. But what is it that you want me to do? What am I here to do? And so when Brother Ishmael was speaking on education, it was literally like a light bulb went off, a door opened up, like all of a sudden it was so crystal clear that was my path. Yeah. And so, and it affected me so much so that I began to shake. I had to get up and go to the check room, and I just busted out in tears because because I was so grateful.
Yes.
Allah that He gave me, He showed me what
Yeah.
my purpose is. And I never, ever, ever turned back. And once again, I had been doing it all along. But when I was on my last child, I was like, "Ooh, okay, he's about to be up and now. Okay, what am I gonna do?" So I'm thinking I'm just doing this because I have to do this.
Yeah.
But this is where Allah placed me. And but in such a way that I believe, no, I know.
You know, I'm so glad you changed that because that's what came to me that you know.
Right. I absolutely know this, that what He gave me was truly the gift of Asiatic minds. I truly believe that Allah chose me for this school to come through. That it's His and it came through me. And so I'm constantly asking Him, okay, what do you want me to do now? Well, okay, what direction do you want us to go now? And He brings to the table everything that we need, every single step of the way. So many, like I can't even go into all the ways, but so many ways. And like Sayana hinted at earlier, I always say Asiatic Mind is a living, breathing, growing school, because it is in fact that we're not stagnant, because Allah is not stagnant. His universe is not stagnant.
Come on.
So we will continue to grow in whatever direction He has us to grow in, because we have a purpose. And that is to strive to help Him on this path to make gods. That's what Master Fard Muhammad came for. And this is the path. Our jobs, I say this to the teachers all the time, it is extraordinary. And it's very humbling to be in the lives of so many that we are just dropping these seeds. And that's why we have to be so mindful and careful and loving and strive to be so prepared. Because when it is part of your purpose and your purpose affects other people, it's really an awesome task. But I accept it. I accept what Allah has for me to do. And be it the will of Allah, I will be pleasing to Him and striving to do what it is that He put me in this world, in this universe to accomplish.
Thank you.
For me, go ahead, Sister Milani. No, I go last. Go, Sister Milani.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I would say for me, I believe, if it be the will of Allah, that my purpose is to draw and animate for the Nation of Islam. I would say for me, when I kind of realized that, it was a day where I was drawing and I was so frustrated that I couldn't draw something in particular that I was trying to draw. And I was crying, I was angry, I was like, man, I can't do this. Like, what is going on? And I stepped away from it for a couple of weeks because I was like, I'm never doing this again. Like, this just isn't for me, never again. And it wasn't realized, I didn't realize that over those days, I didn't start yearning to draw again until I kept on praying. And while I was praying, I was like, why do I keep wanting to draw even though I know I'm frustrated with it? Like, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to see it, nothing at all. But it wasn't until I got back into drawing that I realized this is what I'm supposed to do, or is a part of what I'm supposed to do, because it is something that I couldn't step away from. No matter how angry or frustrated I was about it, I never wanted to leave it. And that was something that took a lot of personal reflection to realize. But it is something that I do want to do.
Yes. Thank you.
Awesome. I love that, little sister. All right. For me, I was like reeling over at the whole time Sister Sherry and Sister Mazani was talking. Because for me, I feel like it was just a few little breadcrumbs. Like they were breadcrumb like moments for me, rather than like some big event. I think because I came out the womb teaching. Because I have cousins that are probably scarred today that'll tell you that I was their first teacher. Okay, they came over to play with me, but I would line up chairs, and like have all my worksheets that I got from teachers to pass out to them with my ruler and my, pen, so like for me, they talk about it, my cousins talk about it, like, you forced us to have school on weekends, like that was just like, I kind of came like that. And then when I went to high school and discovered that I was excellent, I was winning competitions for architectural design. That kind of shifted me away from it, because you know nobody makes education seem like something beautiful to get into, right?
Right.
You get more attention to say I'm gonna be an architect, you know, than saying I'm gonna be a teacher. It's like warrant, you know. And so, because I was so good at the architecture piece, and my teacher, and I love cars, my teacher was like, Ayana, he actually gave me, my architect teacher gave me my major in college, which was automotive engineering. And so I went in for automotive engineering, and I was about to die in that curriculum. I'm like, this is the most boring thing I've ever been a part of. And I like tried to get out of there so fast. And then I went, you know, and I had to go to a whole other college to become, you know, to major in education. And that's, you know, when I felt all of my life kind of come back into my body, was that like once I began to go into those classrooms to do my clinicals, I felt that life, you know, that kind of heartbeat. But also I was the type that like I'd be in my nation and I'd be sitting down going, that could be taught differently. That could be taught differently. I'm gonna write this out, you know. And actually our former national captain, Sister Aisha, made me discover another part of myself. So while I always kind of knew I was going to be a teacher, when I had wrote out a few classes that were like 8-week, 10-week. I had it all laid out because I'm a teacher, so that was kicking in. But I had designed like these classes for MGT class and submitted them to her. And I knew she didn't really know me because I was new to Chicago, but I had given it to her, and she was like, oh, we doing these classes. And that was like this beginning of it. And then to see it be done, to see it executed, and to see the impact, I was like, well, that's a whole nother part of me I didn't know, you know. I can just look at something and tell you how the teachings can be taught using that topic. And then working with our national captain, you know, she's the type that pulls everything out of you. And like when I working with her and beginning to, you know, here, put an activity with this and do this and put that, design this. And these things started to like, you feel this inspiration. I don't know if anyone's ever had those feelings where, you know, when it comes out of you, it wasn't from you, and that is correct.
Absolutely.
Like it's actually like correct. And like having these kind of experiences, and then working with Brother Talib at MUI Chicago and working with those beautiful teachers there. And then like I have to give it to her while she's here on camera. Where, you know, when you're sitting and when this stuff is sitting inside you and you keep doing little things there and there and you get all these rewards back and you're never tired of it. You're never weary of it. You think, eat, sleep, and breathe it. The teaching and designing curriculum with activities and all stuff. And then Sister Sherry, you know, got my name from a sister who I had known forever. And I always say it takes another woman to develop another woman, okay? Because you know, like that's why there's so much in this world to separate women from women, because women actually empower other women. Like, we're the strength of each other. That's how we are. That's our nature. To be very much so connected. And Sister Sherry called me and set me free. And I mean, she was like, look, you know, she asked me a lot of questions. She saw what I could do. And she was like, okay, how are we doing this? And then to just be able to exercise that. And I live, eat, and sleep education. Even when we try to have conversations that don't have nothing to do with education, we end up right back education, because it's just, you know, like it's something that I just love. You know, I've harassed Brother Tony when I was doing my history research, actually, for that book. It was, I
didn't think you were going to mention that, but go ahead.
You know, because we make Allah, not an individual. We actually make Allah. I think we have to remember that. And the only way our children are going to get that education that makes them gods, we're not even gods yet. So we have to take what makes gods and give it to them. And in the meantime, if we're students, because the best teacher is a student, so in the meantime, when we're studying, we become God while we study that to offer them what makes God too. And so that, you know, like for me, I know that I say education is my purpose because it's so many checkoffs, you know, for me, Allah has blessed me to see that. I know that, you know, I've learned to be patient with him giving me all these opportunities and avenues to exercise that. And I never weary. I've actually never wearied over it. Have I had fails? Absolutely, but it doesn't deter me.
Right.
No, when the minister said, your purpose in life, because it's something you do perfectly, and it's something that I think about it all the time. My poor husband, if we ever in a space, I'd be like, so, he's like, oh, Allah, don't let somebody else, I'll harass him about what you teaching today? How you teaching that? Like that's just I know that's been in my blood since I came on earth. So I thank a lot for that.
Give thanks. Give thanks.
Sister Diana, it's very exciting when I remember those times that we were bouncing ideas off of each other and you were developing this curriculum. It's like we were both cracking up because what you're doing is you're introducing this knowledge, but you're providing it in such a way where the student is able to see themselves. You're including the teachings in there. It becomes the base of what you are teaching. And then when you're, well, how do I present this? And like we would start cracking up because this is what I do in public school. I don't hold back when it comes down to our true history.
Absolutely.
And when I personally, I bear witness to this because when you teach it to the student in the right way, they're able to see themselves and they just get excited. Like, what are we going to be learning tomorrow? What are we going to be learning next week? What are we going to be? Wow. And what is this again? Wow. And so they just want more. We do have some questions from the general audience. And I'm going to ask this question here because it's connected to the question I had prepared for Asiatic Minds. But here, Sister Akila Sai, I want to make sure I pronounce our sister's name properly. She asks, Assalamu alaikum. Can one of the panelists share what a typical school day at Asiatic Minds looks like for elementary aged students?
Yes. So at Asiatic Minds, we start our school day at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We start out with our opening prayer, and I choose students, or I let them volunteer to open up in prayer, do our pledge to the flag, and then we do a 520 exercise every morning to get the blood flowing. And so just 5 exercises that we do 20 repetitions of. And then from there, we go into Islamic studies. They have a little break. They go into Islamic studies. After Islamic studies, they go to their respective classes. And so the schedules do differ a bit depending upon your grade and your gender. And but they all have their math, science, Spanish, ELA, history. What else? Am I missing something? They have that homework hour, and then they have that Khan Academy hour. On Fridays, we have special classes. We have a meditation class that our students do. It's so wonderful. So they all do meditation together. We have a chess class. We have agriculture. We have some of our young ones have book club. We also have a life skills class, which is so awesome. It is everything that we wish we had when we was right. We thought about all the stuff we didn't know when we was trying to get out in the world. Like, why didn't somebody tell me my credit affect where I could live?
Right.
I did not know
credit.
Right. So that life skills class is teaching them about all of that so that they can be better prepared when they get out in the world. And they do little projects to explore certain things. Can you survive on a budget? Can you feed yourself on a certain budget? Understanding interest rates, and is it really a good idea to get that credit card? Let's look at interest rate. Hey, what about student loans? So it's exploring all of those things, and with more things to come for the rest of the school year. So that's typically what an Asiatic Minds Day looks like. But let me add too that we do have a series called From the Heart Guest Speaker Series. So once a month we have a guest speaker that comes in. We've had so many people. Brother Nuri, so his wife, Sister Terry. We've had Brother Minister Ishmael. We've had
Amira.
Sister
Amira. The Sister Amira from I Deny.
Yes. She was our last guest speaker. We've had
the songwriting class.
That's even a separate little thing. That wasn't even from the guest speaker series. Right. We had, oh my God, the brother's name is eluding me. He talks about the baby planes.
Elia Rashad.
Brother Elia Rashad. We've had him. We've had a whole bunch over the years that those who I'm missing, I apologize. Charges to my heart, because every single one of you are very important, and we appreciate you being here. But then we also have enrichment workshops, which Sister Ayana was talking about. Enrichment workshops, they typically would happen on a Friday, but it may run longer. So it may be 4 weeks every Friday, a slot on a Friday. So in the past, we've had not construction, but the BAM, Black Architects in the Making. They did a enrichment workshop for us. We've had a filmmaking enrichment workshop, where our students walked away with a short film that they made.
Awesome.
Sister Sherry, with everything that you're mentioning, can I come to your school?
Too old for you, brother.
Right.
So,
and we've actually had one of our last ones is we had a songwriting workshop, and that was absolutely amazing. Like our students, they were taught, the structure of making music. The brother who did the class, he created like 4 different tracks that they can choose from. And then the groups, they made up their own lyrics and they put together these songs, and then he mixed it for them. And they had some fabulous songs, let me tell you. And we didn't know some of our brothers could rap like that. And just like it was really awesome. And so those are the things that we strive to offer. We did have at the beginning of the year our after school, our clubs. So we've had cooking club, we've had spelling bee club, we've had they had a gaming club. So different things like that. This year we allowed it to be student led. And so we'll take that back to the drawing board. That way we can but we wanted them to have that experience. We wanted like if you're in a brick and mortar and sometimes you find yourself being the president of the drama club, our president of the debate club, but that gives our students the opportunity to develop their leadership skills and to be able to work with one another. So we want to get, because learning, of course, takes place in more than just the classroom. Right. All of those opportunities. And not to mention, we've actually had virtual field trips.
Oh, wow.
Where our students have visited a farm. That was last year. And it was so awesome to see the little babies. And I mean, Sister Amira, that's Sister Amira right there.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that might be her parents. Yeah, she was phenomenal. When I tell you, the students love her.
Yes, they
absolutely loved her. So we had field trips and everything. We did a virtual roller coaster ride. It was fun. So we strive to do all that we can, and not to mention that we do have a end of the school year celebration that we come together in person. And when I tell you, we have so much fun at the school year celebration. Last school year, we had we broke out the double dutch ropes. We had a ball. We had, everything. So much so that my sister broke her foot double dutching.
Oh wow!
It was competition. We go hard. Not competition. You're celebrating. I so look forward to this school year. We have a challenge, right, Sister Mazzani, with the high schoolers, challenging one of the teachers, and they talk smack at the end of class, like
competition.
it's going down at the end of the school year celebration.
Exactly.
Right? Watching the teacher go at it with a student on the court.
Exactly. Right.
But it's
awesome.
time, and even at Savior's Day, we find time to get together and just to see the students interact with one another. And oh my God, you're taller than what I thought. You're shorter than what I thought. And just being able to embrace and hug one another and be in the spirit of one another. So that went way beyond the school day, but hopefully, really good roundabout snapshot, panoramic view of what happened at Asiatic Minds.
Yes.
All praise
Beautiful.
Awesome.
I'm gonna also ask this question. Considering that this is an online school, what are some of the challenges that you may experience day to day teaching, especially subjects and concepts like STEM? What are systems? Parents were mentioned earlier, parent involvement, but what other type of systems are needed in order to run the school on a very successful level?
Can I just talk about that STEM part, Sister Sherry? Just that STEM part? Because actually, I wish I'd have known that question because we could have uploaded that little video. My other daughter's in middle school there. And when I say they have so many experiments that teach so many concepts that, I mean, like I had never actually blown something up in the middle of a park and it flew up in the air like so many feet, and that like blew my child's mind, to do an experiment and understand these concepts of chemicals and using them to actually propel something, and so they get the science. I'll tell you, one of the big things for online school, Sister, if you don't mind me adding that, is just it is not a dump and go situation though. It is not. That is not a space that you can just drop them off in front of the computer and walk away. Not unless your child has proven to you that they have the integrity. Because I always tell Sister Sherry, one of the key things for a student and a parent to be in an online education is really integrity.
Yes.
And honesty, because we're really relying. I mean, it's easy to cheat. It's easy to copy and paste stuff. But then, your child don't say the school didn't teach you. There wasn't enough integrity or maturity or even paying attention to ensure that the student is doing the actual work on there. We can and it's the same for even brick and mortar. You can offer a great education, but it all depends on the recipient, how they process that education and the support that they have at home. So like one of the things I do find, like with STEM, if you're gonna do these experiments, the teachers are so excellent at sending out the materials list before class, and so we get them a couple, maybe even a week or two before the day that it's due, and then we gather all these materials. My daughter in the agriculture class on Friday, we still have it here. This worm habitat. I don't know what I'm gonna do with all the worms. We got a whole look. And it's really it's right beside you too. And it's really for your garden. So you have worms in your garden. But we've been taking care of them since I think like November and she's learned about spraying the soil and feeding the worms. And then she built a smaller hydroponic system for how to grow crops with a 2-liter bottle. So like these concepts, you definitely get, but she needed my support. And being able to gather those materials on time so that she could do it in her class and get the direction from her teacher and ask those questions, and then having the integrity to actually do the experiments, experience the experiments, and me asking her a few questions about that. So, it's definitely a space that needs parent support. So that's what I want to ask Sister Sherry.
And let me add, and this is Mazzani, you may want to come from your perspective.
Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to add
Did you want to go first?
Say it again, sis.
I'm sorry. Did you want to go first?
Yeah, I just have a couple of points to add as far as the challenges would be to make sure that we have systems that work. Right. Make sure, because sometimes we have where you are talking and it's want, or it's very what? Because it could be staticky. So it's a matter of, and we do that at the beginning of school. That's part of our orientation night, testing those systems. But sometimes they go haywire. Sometimes the cameras,
Right.
people have to be on camera, right? So I'm gonna let
Yes, ma'am.
you see, I said it a certain way because I'm gonna need you to open your camera, ma'am. Why are you not on camera? So that's that integrity piece.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
System was like, go ahead.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. I would say from a student's point of view, one of the challenges I can see for most would be the parent-student relationship, because the parent most definitely has to be there with the student, because even though the student is virtually online with a teacher, the teacher is not there physically. So the student oftentimes has to rely on their parent to get them stuff, to get materials, like Sister Ayana said, or to get stuff on time, maybe go somewhere, all that, make a video, because sometimes that is a project. But I would say another challenge is sometimes just communication, in a sense of being in class and somebody's audio may not be working as well, and the teacher may ask you, oh, so what is so-and-so saying? You're like, I don't know what so-and-so said because their audio was glitching. So I would say that would be a challenge.
All praises due to Allah. All right. Brother Mark, okay.
We have another question in the audience.
Oh, in the audience? Okay.
Yes.
Let's see. Hold on. Let me pull it up. Where are we? There we are. I got it. All right. So, Sister Sadia Muhammad asked the question, how can we pull together a national curriculum for the Nation of Islam?
That's Shahida, Sister Shahida.
Oh, that's Sister Shahida. Ooh, I missed the H. I'm sorry. My eyes. Sister
You over
Shahida.
40, you might need some glasses, brother Tony. You over 40.
I know. It's almost about that time, right? Shahida asked, how can we pull together a national curriculum for the Nation of Islam?
That's kind of, it's funny, like everything is trial and error, and everything is like, I've learned just with my little small years in the nation is that everything is like stage by stage by stage,
Right.
Like I think collaborations are happening on a smaller scale. Because like I've talked to talking to Brother Tony in Florida and talking to Sister Gina Tay in Texas and all these kind of different things. The national curriculum, I think that's gonna be a greater task, because that I think it has to happen on these small scales and build to these large scales. Because everybody thinks that their ideas are going to be right? Like you have to have like that head to lead the charge. And I think a national curriculum for the Nation of Islam comes from the smaller organizations of believers that have gotten together to build something. And then once we are at that stage of development where that call comes, we'll all be able to submit something to the building of that, So I think that's the national is coming from something small. It makes me think about like nothing starts big, then it goes to small. Generally it's small, right. Then it goes to big, So I think we're on that track, on that pacing. We have universalized our MDT class and we've like all these different things are becoming universalized. We're learning to now document things. We didn't always document. You lost somebody great with great ideas that died with them, like
right. Where's the blueprint? Where's the blueprint?
Exactly. So like a Sister Shahida who actually asked that question, who's written a couple of children's books as well. So like these projects are building us to be able to accomplish the greater goal. So I think that we have to start out small because we also have to kind of work out some of the little kinks on a smaller level because it's hard to work them out when you got 20 minds in 50, 60, 70, 80 minds in a room. You
Right.
know, that is hard to work out those kinks. But when you're starting, like when I'm looking at Asiatic Minds being an online school, Sister Shahida has an online school. So they're working out kinks. I'm sure every year you're working out kinks. So then if there's a call for a national online school, well, I got experience with that. I worked out some of these kinks. And I remember the minister told us as teachers at Muhammad University in Chicago, he said, one of the biggest problems that we have is we don't respect one another's talents.
Come on.
And so, like, we have to build to prove to each other even that we have the ability to do this, because, like, I've seen a few people even give me curriculums to look at, and I'm like, okay, like it's still not like, I know, like we were taught by the minister for a whole year once a month, and so like you kind of get these ideas, and then working with some of our laborers of certain topics, and things like that I think is just, it has to have a head. But in the meantime, like everything is being built, I think, on a very small scale. Our nation rebuilt itself, starting out small and underground. And then now look at us today. So I think we have to have patience with our nation. We have to have patience with each other. We have to assist one another and help each other build what we have in our faces. Because there's no way we're going to help on a national level. And we don't even help locally. Let's just be real. So like, we have to be have respect for one another, offer our skills and talents, and they don't come with a price, because we ain't got it like that. So I'm sorry you got your PhD in building a science curriculum. I can't give you PhD building a science curriculum money. But hopefully you will love your nation enough to offer your skills and talents and believe that Allah will give you what you need when the time comes. The minister told us if we make his great commission known, we wouldn't have to worry about money.
Come on, talk that talk. Let's talk. Let's deal. Let's
gotta
deal.
give before we get. And in
That's
the white man's world, he gives us before we give anything. And really, he gives it to us to spoil us. So then he pays you your big old salary, but you ain't even proven you really got the ability. But in your mind, you'll start thinking you do have the ability because he gave you the salary. And and that's, that's the thing. Like, we have to prove that we really know what we're talking about. And we have to want to see our nation grow and build, and not just had a big house in the Benz in the back for our personal selves, but that our babies truly are our future. And because we've been so poisoned into thinking that our children are a burden to us, all we look at is dumping them off and not really like building and understanding that we must pour our skills and talents into our children without a monetary something that will come when we give. And so that, that's the part, is like, we have to show and prove we are who we say we are. And then that I think, and as we grow and show and prove that, Allah will mobilize that himself for a national something to come together to build something. It's in the makings. It's in the works. It dies off. It gets back up. It grows. This is us. We Black people in America. It's going to take us a minute. We still got color issues, like, hey, look. We still
security issues.
Yeah, we're as we grow, our nation will grow. Just like our schools are only as good as the communities that we serve. So when we grow, our nation will grow. So I think national is unequivocally on the horizon, because Allah came to reestablish, to re-educate, right? The so-called Negro. That's what he came for. Our whole system is education in the Nation of Islam. Whether we know it or not, everything we have is education. So it's already there. It's just that we have to wait. We have to develop ourselves while we're waiting. So that we are ready when the call comes to offer our skills up and have a different type of thinking. Because if we've been studying this teaching, we should have a different type of thinking. And we're not just trying to recreate the white man's world and slap a Nation of Islam on top of it. No. So I think that national piece, it's coming, it's growing, it's budding. The seed is out there. It's been reformed and formed. I've been a part of a few different committees on that. So I know that it's coming. It's just that we have to learn how to get out our own way so that we can build something. And it is coming. Whether we here to see it or not, it will be here.
Sister Ayana, if I could just comment, it can't be something that is rushed.
No.
We just get together for a weekend and then expect for things to just
No.
materialize from there. No, it's going to be a process.
Right.
We got to study these teachings because you can't produce nothing you don't know nothing about. So we actually have, like the minister said, we got to be deep sea divers. And so we have to begin. We can't produce out what we don't understand.
That's
And
right.
so, you know, when we still got people asking whether butternut, like if we could eat pumpkin and it's a squash. I mean, like, this is our development. And I'm not saying it in an insulting way at all.
No, you just made me turn off my heater. I had just had my heater on and it just made me get hot.
Right.
Yes.
I understand.
Yes, our study. And we can't ask Facebook to give us the answers. It's in our teaching. And that's the piece. Once we study our teaching, we will be able to produce something that will be beneficial for our whole nation of Islam. So that's, you know.
And humanity. Yep.
Man.
Praise be to Allah.
Yeah.
No, we ain't got a mic, but whatever you're using over there is on fire right now.
Profit.
Right.
That's my big sister Shahid asked us doing wonderful work
might be
as
on
well.
fire.
You know how to get it out of you.
Wow. And those are firing up, and I'm lit, and I'm ready to address this question that we have here. And I thank each of you panelists tonight. But this question, and this was probably a little touched on a little earlier throughout the discussion, but we want to know, what advice do you have for parents who are struggling with the ineffectiveness of the public school teaching of their children? What advice do you have for them?
I already did a lot of talking, so I'm waiting.
I say, get them out of there. That's the advice.
Somebody that already said, put it in there.
Listen, did you see the husband talk about, we gonna side cam up? Yeah, and you gonna be right by her side for every single project.
I would say that, of course, that's the main thing. If you have the ability, if you are able, if you can make it happen, take them out. Take them out, because when we are blessed to be parents, that's our responsibility. They are truly our responsibility. And so, and once again, everybody is not in a position to do that. Right. So when we are not in a position to do that, we still have to do our responsibility, deprogram them when they come home, have that communication, that conversation with them to see what is going on. Because trust and believe, the enemy, the way he designed his system, his curriculum, is to drop seeds. It's tucked in there to where they can't even pull it out. Right. And so we just have to remember that we are at war. And the enemy is not going to stop, so we can't stop. And we have to dig deep, and we have to, just get that energy to keep going, because we are truly fighting for our children's lives.
Come on.
And so if we can, even if we could create a small group where they can meet on the weekends and do something, education wise, it may be even on a weeknight. Get together, and if there's a couple of parents, then one parent can get with them on this night, another parent can get with them on that night, and we need to make sure that we're feeding them. We have to put the counteract the poison that's being put in them. And no doubt, no matter how amazing the school is, and they can get some great stuff, right? They can be doing some great projects, but trust and believe, the enemy does not miss a beat in poisoning the minds of our children.
That's the truth.
So it doesn't matter if you're paying big money for them to go to this private school or whatever it may be, public school, even a private school, because I know the question was for public school, but even private school.
That's
the enemy's in there too.
Right, of course. Deep off in there.
Yes. And even if it's a public school with all Black teachers, you still have to look at the mindset, because the enemy is in their minds.
And the curriculum.
Yes, and in the curriculum.
Absolutely.
So we have to do all that we can in order to counteract what the enemy is doing for our children, or to our children.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to expand on that. Some advice that I would give is don't ignore your child. When they're saying something that is just really on their heart, that they're like genuine about it, like I really can't do this or deal with it, or it's becoming to a point where it's getting really bad, don't ignore your child or push them away, because when you push them away, they may not come back. And that might be the last time you may hear from them. And this school system, it's designed to be a spirit killer and a soul snatcher.
Right.
So if you can, take your child out, because if they stay, there's a possibility that they may lose themselves. And when you lose your child, it's hurtful, and it's not something to be messed with.
Praises be
I
to
just
God.
love hearing her talk. Okay, yes. No, I was just thinking about that. Like when you have when your child, if your child is showing that the school system that they're in is ineffective, I'll say this on the other side of it first. You know, one of the things with our schools as an institution, Asiatic Minds, you know, our schools as a whole, we got, you know, MUI, Asiatic Minds, Stepping Stone. We have all of these wonderful schools that have the teachings at the core, right? But we're not perfect. Because we didn't, you know, we don't have, I always say we don't have those benefits of those 400 years of free labor, you know, to build on top of a people, you know, like we're and I think like a lot of times we'll leave our children in those schools, sometimes even having a school of our own with us, because we don't have the patience or the will to contribute to making something better. And that white supremacy is the basis of all that education that's out there. And so when that school is showing that it's not educating your children, I mean, like, I think that we have to break some of the things that we've been trained under, because we came up in these systems, right?
Right.
Because we think that I get off work at 5, so then then it's past time for the school day. Not true. Maybe your child's school day starts at 6. You know, maybe 6 to 9 is the shift you work with your child. You educate your child in school. You know, like it doesn't have to be any traditional molds to give your child what they need. And I think we have to break first those barriers inside of ourselves.
Yes.
Right.
Even sometimes saying that we can't do it.
Right.
And now there are more resources to support homeschooling parents than ever before. And again, you got online schools as well to support more than ever before. So your child doesn't have to sit in something and just not be learning. I mean, that's not logical to sit in, to have your child sitting, because they're learning something.
Right.
The question is, what is it? Because if they're not learning academics, they probably learning a few other things, a few little tricks you might not want to have a discussion about. But the real deal, the simple response to that is just, if they're not learning, you're gonna go up to the white man or even the black woman or man in the white man's institution and demand that he educate your children well.
Right.
Like, come on, like the enemy is not gonna educate you to take him down.
Right.
He's not. He loves the illiteracy. Right. He loves the fact that you can't read, you can't write. It's just more room, more bodies in the prisons.
Right.
You
exactly.
know, it's just more female bodies to misuse and abuse. And then I capture you under welfare. Now I'm your daddy. You know, like these are things you don't understand. Like these things are to shepherd us into total self-destruction. You know, Chicago is up in arms with violence. Most of these children have been in school. Where's the value for life at? It ain't obviously they come from school.
Right.
And then your parents been educated in the same system, so they don't have a value for life. How can they teach you a value for life? And then we're like, oh, I don't understand what's happening. Yes, you do.
Yeah, domino effect.
It did. This is what a result is. And we can't say we have the teachings,
right?
And then say, enemy teach my children. Like,
right.
Like, even if you're getting with a sister, like a lot of us have a sister who's at home in our cities, sisters who have children, sisters who even have the skill of teaching. This is where our unity comes in at, where we get, like Sister Sherry said, we get with each other as a community and help educate. Because 9 out of 10, if you in that city and you don't have a space, your children, their children in the same space your children are in. So why don't we get together and actually build something? You know, the minister told us we were spoiled. So we're like, it's easy. Put them over there. Yeah, but it's going to be hard later.
Sure
Right.
is.
You know, it's easy now. It's going to be hard later. The hardness goes away when we stick to it. Just like marriage, just like anything else, when you endure the initial pain of something, you will build new muscles to do new things.
Exactly.
And that's what we have to do, is build new muscles to do new things and stop falling in the trap of the $9 Starbucks drink that you can make at home. You know, that's the piece, you know, like you can make it at home. You can teach your children at home. All of these things are to make us consumers and to give over to them what they make easy, but it's just easy death. So that's all it is. You know, we know what to do. We just have to decide if we're going to suffer the pain of developing ourselves to assist our children.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. And I want to say that everything is teachable. Everything that a parent knows, it can be taught.
Everything, lasagna.
You know how to make bread, teach your child how to make bread. If you know how to make bean soup, teach them how to do bean soup. If you know how to just do something as simple as growing a plant, teach them how to grow a plant. Or pick out nice clothes for themselves, because believe it or not a lot of children know how to dress themselves. So to dress themselves, cover your hair, cover your body, all that. Everything is teachable.
Absolutely. Come on, Mazani. Not the babes.
Well, we have a segment of the show, and it's called the Knowledge Corner. And our Knowledge Corner is, you know, when you gain knowledge, you gain power.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
And one of our, to me, this is dear to my heart, because I love, first of all, I love children, and I love this particular song. And it's a tweak, but it's our Knowledge Corner is, we believe the children are our future. Now, in the Knowledge Corner, it specifies here about that particular song, which is called The Greatest Love of All. It was a song that was actually written by Michael Samner and Linda Creed, and it was originally recorded by George Benson in 1977. Muhammad Ali's bio, which was the greatest, it was actually a version by Benson, who actually appeared in the 1978 weekend in LA. And it was a song that was actually recorded by Shirley Bassey on her album, which is The Magic in You. Now, 8 years ago, after George Benson originally recorded the song became more noticed when our dear sister, may Allah be pleased with her, Wendy Houston, actually recorded the song in 1985. And it was one of the best songs that not only she re-recorded, but it actually hit the charts, and it peaked not only in the United States, but also in Australia, Canada, and all over the world in 1986. Now, this song was sung by many artists. You can name them. I mean, it's one of a staple in regards to the lyrics of the song and what the song actually meant. But the song started off as a belief that must be carried into practice. Then it goes into the hope or dream that which one never received, but the dependency of self, the recognizing of self, and the belief of self, and then created the love of self, became the greatest love of all. And I wanted to share some of the lyrics of the song, and I want you all to listen very closely as it relates to what our struggle is, but what our children's struggle is from the time they become they have the mindset to actually come up with the idea of who they are, but still lost into a system and in a world that they're identifying their self. So the lyrics start off with, I believe The children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possessed inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter to remind us how we used to be. Everybody is searching for a hero. People need someone to look up to. I never found anyone to fulfill my needs. A lonely place to be. So I learned how to depend on me. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadows. If I fail or if I succeed, at least I live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity, because the greatest love of all is happening to me. I found the greatest love of all inside of me. The greatest love of all is easy to achieve. I learned to love learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. And that's our knowledge corner.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Praises be to Allah.
You brought it into that song into a whole other perspective.
Right. And a lot of times people are just singing the song without really listening to the lyrics of the song, because it brings you to a childlike mindset. And where we are now adults, it's like, I was looking for someone, I was searching for someone, but I end up finding the greatest love of all, and that was inside of me. So I was looking for everything outside of me, and all of a sudden it's in me.
Turn back to that child within yourself.
Right. Exactly.
And it says in the scripture that it will be the children that will be inheriting the kingdom of heaven.
That's right.
And so we have to keep that humble disposition, even as us as teachers,
Yes,
as guides for our people and for children, especially.
Yes, sir. Praises be to Allah. So we're going to go with closing remarks. We're going to start with our Sister Sherry.
Yes, ma'am. My closing remarks is just gratitude. I want to thank each and every one of you all for having us on today. I want to thank Sister Ayana, Sister Mazani, Sister Zatima, who was going to come, and Brother Abel, who had accepted to come, but the other two, they just were not well enough to be here. I want to thank all of my Asiatic Minds family, every student, every teacher, administrator, parent, and most importantly, before I even jump that high up, I want to thank my family. There wouldn't be an Asiatic Minds were it not for my late husband, because he absolutely supported me and made it possible for me to even discover my purpose and not be so weighed down by responsibilities of the world. So all praises due to Allah.
All praises due to Allah.
Yes. And of course, my family, who absolutely supports me. And beyond the shadow of a doubt, I want to thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and his family for their sacrifice, because were it not for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in giving to us the teachings that Master Fard Muhammad gave to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, then there will absolutely not be any such thing as an Asiatic Minds, because I wouldn't know who I was.
That's right.
So I absolutely thank him and the sacrifices that his family made to let us all have him, so that we could be woke, so we could be awakened and have the opportunity to accept the knowledge of self. So that's what I want to say. Wait, I'll let them do their thank yous, and then if you don't mind, I'll do a plug for some things that we have.
Absolutely,
because I was going to ask, how can we donate to the school? Sure.
How can we support?
Right.
Okay, I'll go ahead and give that. First, you can go to our website, asiaticminds.com.
Okay.
Again, that's asiaticminds.com. And we
Alright.
do have a donation tab on there where you can donate to Asiatic Minds. We have a campaign that is just constantly running, and it's called Forever Pledges. And so what we are striving to do at Asiatic Minds is truly allowing the entire family, everybody,
Everybody.
to support. And so what that looks like, it looks like a little subscription. Thank you for that, posting that. It looks like a subscription, like if you have Netflix, if you have other
Uh,
subscriptions, and it could be the amount that you want that is comfortable for you.
Mhm.
So if you know, if you're doing great and you like, hey, I could do $1,000 a month. That's if that's where you at, praise be to Allah.
Praises be to Allah.
And you can subscribe and to donate whatever amount. So even if it's $5 a month, $20 a month, $10 a month, what you would do is you could subscribe to just support Asiatic Minds. And then that would just be a recurring thing. You wouldn't have to keep doing it. You don't have to think about it. Click it and forget it. All you gotta do, click it and forget it. And in order to do that, we do have a nonprofit, so that it can be a write-off for you to do that in donating. And that's going to be infinityeducationnonprofit.com. infinityeducationnonprofit.com. And you will be able to go on there, and you can click on that donation section and make that pledge. And so we would appreciate everyone doing that. And we have something going on too. In Chicago, we are doing a live fundraiser.
Skating
We're doing
party.
a live fundraiser. It's a skate party.
Hey.
So if you're in the Chicago area, it's only a $25.
That's it.
That's it. Bring all your friends. It's $25 a ticket. That includes your skate rental. That includes a slice of pizza and a small drink. All of that for $25. So go have some fun.
Ew.
And if you're not in Chicago, then you can still purchase a ticket to support, to give to maybe a student or a young person. Because sometimes we have big families. We might have 5 children.
Sure.
So if there's some donated tickets, then maybe mom and dad could pay for their ticket and have some donated tickets for some of the children.
Yeah.
So in order to do that, you can Zelle that $25 to Asiatic Minds ELA@gmail.com. That's Asiatic Minds ELA@gmail.com. And I can put that stuff in the chat if you all want to post it.
Yes, please.
That would be a major help.
And in the memo, you just want to put ticket donation for skate party.
mhm.
So those are all the wonderful things we have going on. Support, please.
Please.
Even if you don't have a child, it's everybody's responsibility to support everything that we're striving to do. Not just Asiatic Minds, but any and everything. Anytime somebody's doing something, if I have some money, I'm supporting it, because we have to learn how to support one another.
Absolutely.
And just as the song says, I believe the children are our future. So we need to invest in our future.
That's right.
And so, if you have a child, invest. If you don't have a child, invest. If you're an auntie, an uncle, a cousin, a brother, a sister, invest.
That's right.
It's an investment in all of our futures.
That's it.
So, thank you.
Sister Diana.
Oh, thank you. I just thank Allah too for this opportunity to dialogue about education and to give platform for those of us who are striving to build something different than the educational system that's being offered to us. And I thank Allah for that. And I was thinking about something that Sister Sherry said. I really thank Allah for my husband, because I am in his stead, by the way. He did ask me to replace him and being here, but I wouldn't even have been here if he didn't ask me to replace him. But also, I would not have known my purpose had he not strived really hard to keep me home so I could find my purpose. And so I was at home educating our children, and as well as cultivating myself. And wasn't perfect, of course, but I thank Allah for him having the courage to really hold up that part of himself so that I could develop myself as well. So I do thank Allah for that. I thank Allah for Sister Sherry, who we are more than just partners in a school. We are sisters. And I love her dearly. And I thank Allah for her. And it's really exciting to see Black people not afraid to share the light with each other. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I thank Allah for students like Sister Mazani and these beautiful, beautiful students who, y'all, I'm telling you, they genuinely care about each other and they look out for each other and they have the freedom to be themselves. And so then their better parts show up. And it's really refreshing to see students relate to each other in such a respectful way and support each other in that way. And please support, independent education, support it. And I thank Allah for all those who are trying to create an independent space for our children to get the teachings of Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in their lives. Come help us make Asiatic Minds the best it could possibly be by enrolling your children and you becoming a part of that, family as a parent, and you can add to the greatness of it growing into something that Master Father Muhammad could be truly, truly proud of us for doing together. So I thank all of you all for having us on, and that's it.
Praises be to Allah. All right, sister, the floor is yours.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. First and foremost, I thank Allah for this opportunity. I thank Sister Sherry for asking me to do this. Of course, I thank my family for just wouldn't be here without him. But I enjoyed this experience and I enjoyed being here with all of you and the audience as well. And I thank Allah. I thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for all his sacrifice and all of his work, because without him, I would not know where I would be.
Come on.
But yeah.
All praises due to Allah.
Oh, praises due to
And thank
Allah.
you, Mom. I forgot my mom. Thank you,
Please,
Mom.
hey, please, you better thank. What is her name?
Sister Vera.
Sister Vera.
Yeah, we saw Sister Vera in the room. Whoop, whoop.
Have to
Awesome
do the
job.
Arsenio
Some
Hall.
girls for
Sister
the children.
Vera.
That's a
Yes.
throwback, Arsenio Hall.
Right.
Like a whole bunch of old people right now doing Arsenio Hall.
Right, Brother Tony.
I don't do Arsenio Hall. So that's true.
Love you too. Love you too.
Oh,
May Allah can listen. This was a wonderful show. And before we close out, please, Brother Tony, the floor is yours.
My OMG, or I can say, oh my Allah, we must support
Leroy.
Look, the platform where you look, we're doing this out of the kindness of our hearts. We love y'all, but of course we need your support because the streaming platform that we use, it costs money. Everything that we do as the Seventh Region Coalition to help save lives, it costs money. And that's the reality of the world that we're living in right now. If you were touched by anything that you experience in this show or in any of our shows and would like to donate, you could donate. There's a couple of dollars, $5, $20, $100 if you have it, $1,000. Hey, if you want to donate $100,000, we ain't gonna stop you.
Listen, we won't.
We're gonna put that money.
Won't stop.
No, but whatever you're able to afford, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. May Allah, God, bless you all abundantly. Let us continue to support streaming platforms such as our platforms like the Seventh Region Coalition to help save lives. Closing the Gap is out there. The Jock Brothers.
That's right. Closing the Gap.
Anytime that you see a podcast organized by the Nation of Islam, know that we are guiding you to truth, and we are guiding you to better health, wealth. We're guiding you to for your life to be saved. So please support and do whatever you can. May Allah bless you.
Thank you, sir. All right. So, Brother Brother Mark.
We got the sign on this. Let's
I'm
take
trying
it
to get it off. Listen, it's been a long day. It's been a long day.
Now we got it off. All right, now we see each other again.
Oh, God.
Praises be to Allah. Brother Mark, can you close us out?
Who are we, Brother Mark?
Well, hey, we are not a gang. We're certainly not a club, but we are the 7th Region Coalition.
Praises be to
Tune in next
Allah.
week, dear family.